Hello everybody and welcome back to my continuation of my book reading of Shawshank Redemption. So Andy went to see Warden Norton on a rainy, windy day with big grey clouds scudding across the sky above the grey walls. A day when the last of the snow was starting to melt away and show lifeless patches of last year's grass in the fields beyond the prison. The warden had a good-sized office in the administration wing, and behind the warden's desk is a door which connects with the assist's warden office. The assistant warden was out that day, but the trustee was there. He was a half-lame fellow whose real name I have forgotten. All the inmates, me included, called him Chester, after Marshal Dillon's sidekick. Chester was supposed to be watering the plants and dusting and waxing the floor, and my guess is that the plants went thirsty that day, and the only waxing that was done happened because of Chester's dirty ear polishing the keyhole plate of that connecting door. He heard the warden's main door open and close, and then Norton saying, "Good morning, Dufresne. How can I help you?" Warden, Andy began, and old Chester told us that he could hardly recognize Andy's voice, it was so changed. "Warden, there's something. Something happened to me that's so... I hardly know where to begin." "Well, why don't you just begin at the beginning?" the warden said, probably in the sweetest "let's all turn to the 23rd palms and read in unison" voice. That usually works the best. And so Andy did. He began by refreshing Norton of the details of the crime he had been imprisoned for. Then he told the warden exactly what Tommy Williams had told him. He also gave out Tommy's name, which you may think wasn't so wise in light of later developments. I'll just ask you what else he could have done, if his story was to have any credibility at all. When he had finished, Norton was completely silent for some time. I can just see him, probably tipping back in his office chair under the picture of Governor Reed hanging on the walls. "Yes," he said finally, "that's the damnedest story I've ever heard. But I'll tell you what surprised me the most about it, Dufresne." "What's that, sir?" "That you were taken in by it." "Sir? I don't understand what you mean." And Chester said that Andy Dufresne, who had faced down Byron Hadley on the plate shop roof 13 years before, was almost floundering for words. "Well now," Norton said, "it's pretty obvious to me that this young fellow Williams is impressed with you. Quite taken with you, as a matter of fact. He hears your story or your tale of woe, and it's quite natural of him to want to cheer you up, let's say. Quite natural. He's a young man, not terribly bright. Not surprising he didn't realize what a state it would put you into. Now, what I suggest is, don't you think I thought of that?" And he asked, "But I never told Tommy about the man working down at the marina. I never told anyone that. It never even crossed my mind. But Tommy's description of his cellmate and that man, they're identical." "Well now, you may be indulging in a little selective perception there," Norton said with a chuckle. "Phrases like that, selective perception, are required learning from people in the corrections business, and they use them all they can." "That's not it at all, sir. That's your slang on it," Norton said. "But mine differs, and let's remember that I have only your words that there was such a man working at the Falmouth Country Club back then." "No, sir," Andy broke in again. "No, that isn't true, because... Anyway," Norton overrode him, expansive and loud, "let's just look at it from the other end of the telescope, shall we? Just suppose now, that there really was a fellow named Elwood Blatch, Andy said tightly. "Blatch, by any means. And let's say he was Thomas Williams' cellmate in Rhode Island. The chances are excellent that he had been released by now. Excellent. Why don't you even know how much time he might have done there before he ended up with Williams, do we? Only that he was doing a 6 to 12. No, we don't know how much time he's done. But Tommy said he was a bad actor, a cut-up. I think there's a fair chance that he still be in. Even if he's been released, the prison will have a record of his last known address, the names of his relatives, and both would almost certainly be dead ends. Andy was silent for a moment, and then he burst out. Well, it's a chance, isn't it? Yes, of course it is. So just for a moment, Dufresne, let's assume that Blatch exists, and that he's still safely in the Rhode Island State Penitentiary. Now, what is he going to say if we bring this kettle of fish to him in a bucket? Is he going to fall down on his knees, roll his eyes and say, I did it. I did it. By all means, add a life term onto my burglary charge. How can you be so obtuse? Andy said, so low that Chester could barely hear, but I heard the warden just fine. What? What did you call me? Obtuse, Andy cried. Is it deliberate? Dufresne, you've taken 5 minutes of my time. No, 7. And I have a very busy schedule today, so I believe we'll just declare this little meeting closed and the country club will have all the old-time cards. Don't you realize that? Andy shouted. They'll have tax forms and W-2s and unemployment compensation forms, all with his name on it. There will be employees now there that were there then. Maybe Briggs himself. It's been 15 years, not forever. They'll remember him. They'll remember Blatch. If I've got Tommy to testify to what Blatch told him, and Briggs to testify what Blatch was there, actually working at the country club, I can get a new trial. I can... Guard, take this man away. What's the matter with you? Andy said, and Chester told me he was very nearly screaming by then. It's my life, my chance to get out. Don't you see that? And you won't make a single long-distance call to at least verify Tommy's story. Listen, I'll pay for the call. I pay for... Then there was a sound of thrashing as the guards grabbed him and started to drag him out. Solitary, Warden Norton said dryly. He was probably fingering his third-year pin as he said it. Bread and water, and also they dragged Andy far away. Totally out of control now. Still screaming at the warden. Chester said they could hear him even after the door was shut. It's my life! It's my life! Don't you understand? It's my life! 20 days on the green and drain train for Andy down there in solitary. It was his second jolt in solitary. His dust up at Norton was his first real black mark since he had joined our happy little family. I'll tell you a little bit about Shawshank Solitary while we're on the subject. And something of a throwback to those hardy pioneer days of the early to mid 1700s in Maine. In those days, no one wasted time with such things as rehabilitation and selective perception. In those days, you were taken care of in terms of absolute black and white. You were either guilty or innocent. If you were guilty, you were either hung or put in gaol. If you were sentenced to gaol, you did not go to institution. No, you dug your own goal or gaol with a spade provided to you by the province of Maine. You dug it as wide and as deep as you could during the period between sunup and sundown. Then you gave you a couple of skins, a bucket, and down you went. Once down, the gaoler would bar the top of your hole, throw down some grain and maybe a piece of maggoty meat once or twice a week, and maybe there would be a diaper full of barley soup on Sunday night. You would piss in the bucket, and you held up the same bucket for water when the gaoler came around at 6 in the morning. When it rained, you used the bucket to bail out your goal cell. Unless, that is, you wanted to drown like a rat in a rain barrel. No one spent a long time in the hole, as it was called. 30 months was an unusual long time, and so far I've been able to tell the longest term ever spent from which an inmate actually emerged alive was served by a so-called Durham boy, a 14-year-old psychopath who castrated a schoolmate with a piece of rusty metal. He did 7 years, but of course he went in young and strong. You have to remember that for a crime that was more serious than petty theft or blasphemy or forgetting to put a snot rack in your pocket and out the doors on the Sabbath, you were hung. For low crimes such as those just mentioned, and for others like that, you do 3 of 6, 9 months in the hole, and come out fish belly white, cringing from the wide open spaces, your eyes half blinded, your teeth more than lightly rocking and rolling in their sockets from the scurvy, your feet crawling with fungus. Jolly old province of Maine. Shawshank solitary wing was nowhere as bad as that, I guess. Things come in 3 major degrees in the human experience, I think. There's good, bad, and terrible. And as you go down into progressive darkness towards terrible, it gets harder and harder to make subdivisions. To get to solitary wing, you were led down 23 steps to the basement level, where the only sound was a drip of water. The only light was supplied by a series of dangling 60-watt bulbs. The cells were keg-shaped, with those wall-safe rich people sometimes hide behind a picture, like a safe. The round doorways were hinged and solid instead of barred. You get ventilation from above, but no light except for your own 60-watt bulb, which was turned off from a master switch properly at 8 p.m. an hour before lights out in the rest of the prison. The wire wasn't in a wire mesh cage or anything like that. The feeling was that if you want to exist down there in the dark, you were welcome to it. Not many did, but after 8, of course, you had no choice. You had a bunk bolted to the wall and a can with no toilet seat. You had 3 ways to spend your time: sitting, shitting, or sleeping. Big choice. 20 days would get to seem like a year. 30 days would seem like 2, or 40 days like 10. Sometimes you could hear rats in the ventilation system. In a situation like that, subdivisions of terrible tend to get lost. And with this, I'm going to end it here for my continuation of my book reading of Shawshank Redemption. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.